Hi everyone, I am sending all of you out there a very happy holiday season. We are at the end of our holiday season and I hope you enjoyed this season of Craftmas. How many times could I say season? We are now at our 8th and final episode of Craftmas 2020, and today we're going to be making something that can be used as a last minute gift or as a way to remember the memories that you created this season with your friends or your family or loved ones. I'm going to be working with you to create your own mini family zine. So this is such a simple but super creative concept. We're going to design a mini zine with 8 pages out of 1 page of 8.5 by 11 paper. And I know it's like, what are you talking about, Jenny? I promise, after some snipping and folding, you're going to see the magic happen. I'm going to include a free download of the actual template. Just make sure you sign up for my newsletter to access all of the free files that I've shared throughout this whole entire month. If you already signed up, you can find the additional files in that same link included in your confirmation email from me. So we will be using the iPad and Affinity Designer to set up the file today. Just make sure that you send whatever photos or images that you want to include in your little memory zine to your iPad. But if you have the desktop version of Affinity Designer, you can totally do the same process as well. The interface is just a little different, but the concepts and the ideas are still relatively the same. So for today's tutorial, you are going to need your iPad, Affinity Designer installed on it, some images that you could use for your little magazine. I would suggest at least 8. You could do more if you want. I'm just going to stick to 8 so that I have 1 image for each page. And then access to a printer so you can print it out, as well as access to something like a bone folder and maybe an X-Acto knife, or you can use a pair of scissors because we are going to have to be cutting along the spine of this paper so that we can create the kind of origami shaping that we're going to need to actually create the zine when we're done. I actually have an example. Of course, I'm going to be showing little previews as we do this. But a friend of mine is a creative. She runs Sweet Universe Studios, and she created her own little mini zine out of images from some of her artwork, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful concept of what she does, and this is just a fun example of what you can do with this. If you want to use this concept or or idea for your shop, you can. I've done pieces like this in the past in some of the local volunteer things that I've done, and this is always a big hit. So I think this is a fun kind of like memory making tool that you can share as a little gift, stocking stuffer, or something fun to do with your kids and your family. Alright, let's get started on creating this zine. So for this tutorial, we are going to be working in Affinity Designer. So you're going to want to open up your Affinity Designer app on your iPad and launch it. We're going to be making a template essentially and placing imagery and placing text on that template. So we're going to hit the little plus button in the upper right hand corner. We're going to select new document, and we're just going to create an 8.5 by 11 page. So we can change our increments from points to inches. And then what we're going to want to do is have it be landscape. So our width should be 11. And then our height should be 8.5. And then we want our DPI to be 300 because we are printing this out. Don't worry about transparency, and don't worry about creating an artboard, and your orientation should be landscape. Then you can hit OK. And this is going to be our template that we're going to work on. So before we start on creating the template, I want to give you an idea of how this works. So I've made quite a few of these for work in the past as well as own personal projects, but the one that I have on hand right now is a little mini zine from my friend Stephanie. She runs Sweet Universe Studios over on Etsy, and she made her own zine in this exact same process. So she made a mini zine out of 1 page, and it's 8 pages. And I'm going to show you how this is set up. So this is one 8.5 by 11 page, and when we open it up, we have to fold and cut lines in order to create the concept of the book. Whatever is going to be on the front of your zine needs to be at the top of your 8.5 by 11 page and flipped upside down. Whatever is going to be on the inside and inside of the actual inside of the zine will be on the bottom portion of your 8.5 by 11 page, and flipped right side up. So to create this, essentially we're folding our 8.5 by 11 long ways, and then I always suggest then opening it back up and folding it short ways and then folding it in quarters, just so that you have the actual fold lines, and then opening it back up and using either scissors or an X-Acto knife to cut the middle 2 squares, and then you fold it long ways again and you push the pages in and then you fold it over. So we'll do this more in detail when we fold up our own little zine, but I just wanted to give you an idea so you have a better understanding of how this works on the template. So whatever we want on the inside of the pages is going to go down here, and it's going to be flipped right side up, and then whatever is going to go on the front is going to go up here, and it's going to be flipped upside down. So I think the easiest way to go about this is going to be using our rectangle shape tool. So let's click on our rectangle shape tool. We are gonna give it a fill of like a light color, so you could do gray. I'm just gonna do blue so it's easy to see. I'm gonna remove my stroke, and then I'm gonna create a rectangle that's gonna divide this page in half. So the idea is that the rectangle, in order to divide this page exactly in half, should be 4.25 inches tall. So it's okay if it's not perfect, because we can go into our transform tool and update it so that it is perfect. So once we've created the rectangle, then we're gonna go to the right hand studio side, and we're gonna go down to our transform tool, which is that little box with a quarter kind of cut out of it. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go up to the dimensions, and we're gonna change our dimensions to 4.5 or 4.25 for the height. And then we're gonna drag it down so that it matches up exactly with our edges. So if we go down to our position, if we hit 0, 0 for our X and 0, 0 for our Y, it'll give us exactly the placement that we need to cut this in half. And then what we'll want to do is kind of divide this up into lines for the overall placement of the pages. Each half is going to be divided into 4 pages, so 4 even pages. So if this is 11 inches wide, each of these little segments that you see here are going to be about 2.75 inches wide as well. So we have the height that we need. Now we just have to divide it into the segments. So to do that, what I think will be the easiest way is, again, just so that you can see, I'm going to divide it by colors. So I'm going to actually take this shape, and I'm going to resize it so that the width is the appropriate shape for each of the pages. So I'm going to keep the height at 4.25. I'm going to change my width to 2.75. And then I'm just going to copy this 3 more times to fill in my spaces. And then I'm going to copy all those and then paste them below, and then we're going to place our images inside of these shapes so that we don't have to delete them, and we'll know exactly where each of our elements is going, and that it'll work for the pages that we're creating. So once I've made that first shape, I'm going to go up to my options menu here, and I'm going to select duplicate, and then I'm just going to move this so that it goes right next to the original. And then I'm going to select both of them, and I'm going to select duplicate again, and then I'm going to move these over. So with these, in order to be able to tell that they're separate sections, I'm just going to change the colors really quick so that it's easier for you to see. And then so that we know everything's exactly where it needs to be, we're going to select all of them using our pen tool. We're going to go back to our sidebar menu, and then we're going to go down to our transform area here. And we are going to go to our alignment options, and we are going to align these up top vertically. And then what we want to do is we want to make sure that they're evenly spaced, so we can utilize the align horizontally so that it spaces them evenly as well. And then it looks like everything is in place for where it needs to be. I know the yellow looks like it has like white space between, but it's just, I think it's just the camera and the lighting. So from what I see, everything is exactly in place. So I'm going to select all of these, and I'm actually going to go into my layers studio, and I'm going to select group so that everything's all grouped together. And then I'm going to duplicate these again, and I'm going to drag them down, making sure that everything is aligned properly. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to update these now with images for my little family memory zine. So I'm going to click on this first shape, and then I'm going to go into my document menu and I'm going to select place an image. And then I'm going to import them from my photos, and I'm going to find the images that I sent to myself already. And what I want to do is make sure this image actually goes into that shape. So once I've placed it, I'm going to go to my layers panel and the group that that shape is in, and then I'm going to take my image and I'm going to drag it on top of that rectangle, and basically the image will crop down to the shape of that rectangle. And then I'm just going to repeat this process for all the rest of the pages. I'm going to go to my document menu, I'm going to do place image, import from photos, and repeat this all the way through until I have all of the images placed, and then we can start adding things like text on top of this. Now that we're done placing all our images, we have to take these top images and flip them upside down. So what my suggestion is that we are going to go to that group. So we're going to select the group, and then on our studio panel, we're going to go down to our transform tools, and what we're going to do is we are going to flip these vertically. So this little option over here will flip our images so that they're upside down, because these are going to be on the front. And then keep in mind that the actual, in order to read it properly, it has to be flipped upside down as well. So what you can do then is just go in and we can add text here. Something simple or silly or whatever you feel might be relatable in terms of your memories. I'm just going to put 2020 was weird but fun. And I'm going to go down to my font options here, and I'm going to change the font to that American typewriter just so that it goes along with the themes that we've been doing. And I'm going to decrease the size just a bit, and then I'm going to change the color here from white. I'm going to go to my color picker tool over in the right hand side, and I'm going to change it from black to white. And then I am going to go to my move tool, and I'm just going to rotate it. Then I'm going to go back to my artistic text tool, and then I'm going to type in the rest of the title, weird but fun. And then I'm going to rotate this again so that I have it flipped upside down. I'm going to resize it just a bit just so that you could see Ellie's face here. And if you wanted, you could add additional text to each of these pages as well. I think just having the pictures is nice, but now that you know how to add text, you can feel free to add text to any of the additional images so that you can kind of add context. And basically, this is kind of like a fun little memory book. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go and export this as a JPEG, and we're going to print it out, and I'm going to show you how to put it all together. So up in our upper left-hand corner, we're going to select our document menu, and then we are going to export. And then we're going to export as a JPEG. Let's rename this something that we can remember. And then I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to save it somewhere I can remember where it will be. I'm just going to save it in Affinity Designer because that's where I've been saving everything this whole time. And then hit save. And then I'm going to send this to my desktop so that I can print it out, or you can print it out directly from your iPad. I just like the quality I get when I print from my computer. I'm going to go into my file system, find the item that I've made, so my family zine. I'm going to hit select. I'm going to click on family zine, and then I'm going to select share. And then I'm going to airdrop it to my computer. And then I'm going to print it out, and we can get started actually assembling it. Now that we're done printing out our final image, this is what it'll look like. And these are the tools I'm going to be using. Just some sort of like bone folder, or you can have a wooden one to help kind of create your creases. And then I'm going to utilize a X-Acto knife or an X-Acto blade to cut the line down the middle. And then I'll be using a ruler as well to ensure that that line is very precise. My first suggestion when doing this is actually to create your fold lines. So we need to fold our page long ways. So hot dog style. And then open it up. And then we should fold it short ways. I know it as hamburger style. I used to volunteer and work with kids a lot, so that's why I sound like an art teacher. But I was not an art teacher. I worked at a nonprofit. So once I've done that, then what I like to do is fold in the inside pages as well, just so that I have guiding lines to help me. So I'm going to take one edge and pull it into the center. And then do the same thing with this side. And then basically we are going to fold this in from the middle. We have to create our cut line though, right here down the middle. It should be the 4 squares in the center. That's as wide as your cut should be. You don't want it to go all the way across or it will basically cut it in half. So from this point to this point on your page is where your cut line should be. So I'm going to do that. That's why I have this very messy cutting mat here. This gets a lot of love and use from myself as well as my kiddos. And I'm going to take my ruler here. This is a construction ruler. That's why you can see through it. I like this. I like this because it's see-through and it makes it easier for me to line up my measurements to cut. Once I've lined up my line, I'm gonna grab my X-Acto knife, and then very carefully and gently, I'm gonna cut the center part out. And I just need a line to just open up the page, just like this. It doesn't have to be super hard. It doesn't have to, you just need light pressure in order to get it to go through the page. So now what we're gonna do is we are gonna fold this up. We're gonna take those 2 edges and then we're gonna take the center and create like this little diamond shape, and then we're gonna push the pages together just as I'm doing and then kind of like flatten them out. And then we are going to fold it in half. And we have our cute little zine. So 2020, weird but fun. And just some fun memories of my kiddos and my family and I and Dwight and Sophia cooking and all of that good stuff. So I think this is a really fun kind of like keepsake memory type thing. So if you make one, share it on social media, tag me in it, show me what you've created. I'd love to see what you guys make as you continue watching these Craftmas videos. And thank you so much for your support. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this interesting and helpful and that it inspires you to get crafty and creative this month. I hope you all had fun creating this zine with me. This is the last episode of Craftmas 2020. Thank you so much for coming along on this creative journey with me. It has definitely been a whirlwind, lots of editing, lots of filming, but I'm so glad I was able to get the content out that I was, and I'm so glad for those of you who sat there and watched and created alongside with me. Thank you so much for all of your support. I will see you in the new year. Enjoy your holiday season. Bye.